What is up, everybody? And this is going to be build video part 5. Geez, that's quite a bit. Okay, so I have not got the front piece yet, but rest assured, all you do is just replace that piece and then put the front bumper on. Not a big deal. It's just going to be changing this aluminum piece out for the right piece. Taking these two screws out, putting the right bushings in and putting the front bumper on, and then putting the two screws in the bottom. Not a huge deal, and if you've got this far on the build, I don't think that will be a problem for you. Now, as you can see, I have mounted 3 of the 4 shocks already. So what I wanted to do on camera for you guys is go ahead and build the last shock. So let's get to it. Alright, so this is how it comes, all your goodies and everything. So what you got to do first is take the cap off the top and bottom. They are aluminum, very nice shocks, by the way. Well, they feel nice anyways. Okay, so I'm going to do this quick style, but hopefully you guys can keep up. So you're going to get rubber washer, orange rubber washer, plastic spacer, another orange rubber washer, and then you get the step down plastic piece. Hopefully you guys can see how that has a little step down, and you put the thicker part down in there, and then you go ahead and put your aluminum bottom cap back on. Now what I do is be very, very gentle, and I just grab this with pliers and twist it. I don't put a lot of pressure, like squeezing. I just hold it enough that I know it's going to hold. Okay, now what you're going to do is go ahead and put your boot on. Now this does come with 2 different size shocks, shorter shocks in the front, longer shocks in the rear. Very, very typical of truggies, monster trucks, all that stuff, muggies, monster truggies. So you will have longer shafts and longer, you know, shock housings and all that stuff for the rear. And then you'll have the shorter stuff for the front. You can't really mix it up because it is very, very noticeable. So you're going to take your shock shaft. Next, you want to get a 1.5 driver. Go ahead and put your little screw on there. You're going to put your shock piston on with the dome rounded part towards the head of the screw. After that, you're going to put your little metal washer on there. It's a little black metal washer. Hopefully you guys can see that. And then you're going to just thread it into the end of your shock shaft. This is pretty convenient. These shocks are very, very nice to put together. All of this stuff on this part of it has gone together pretty flawlessly. So then what I was doing anyways, is just keeping that on my driver, shoving it down in there, making sure it gets fed through the boot correctly. Pull the boot back just a little bit. Whoops, slipped off. Just enough. And then you just want a little bit of your shock shaft showing. And then you're going to go ahead and you're holding it with the driver and that screw on the inside, so you can go ahead and thread this down just holding it. It's really nice actually, because shock, a lot of shocks don't go together like this, and it's actually really, really hard to thread these shock rod ends on. I'll just go all the way to there. Awesomeness. So now this is tight, that the screw inside is tight. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and fill it with our oil. Now this is 500 CPS, 30 cc. I use this one. It comes with 2. I use this one on all the 3 other shocks. So I'm just going to finish this bottle off, which is almost going to fill this, I think. And then top it off with this guy. Now you want to leave it about 3 to 4 millimeters away from the actual top. I'll show you why in a second. So we're not going all the way to the top, we're leaving it down about 3 to 4 millimeters because your cap is going to get this, and this sits down in there like that. So when you put it in your cap, which what I do is I just kind of press it in here by finger, and then I use this to go ahead and seat it in the bottom. Now make sure it doesn't get like all kinked and it's not sitting up on the threads and stuff like that. So when you put that in there, that dome piece should be aimed down towards your actual shock oil. Now one weird thing about this, I'm going to say, get my pliers, really try and get that tight as I can by holding it. I don't want to hold the actual shock body, and then go ahead and get that about the same. Okay, so one thing I do want to say is it calls for you to put these washers on top, I want to say that again, on top of this collar. I don't get that unless for some reason these collars would back off or something. So I just didn't put them on. I'm not going to worry about it. Even if they do go on the bottom side, I've never had to use that before. Normally they go on underneath this cap, but that thing we just put in there, that dome piece, is going to do us just fine to seal these up. Now I am going to keep them. I will keep those, and if the caps do leak, I will take the caps off and put them there. But for some reason it calls for you to put them on top of these collars, so I don't know. The owner's manual on this thing definitely needs help. So now we're gonna just drop this in our rod end and squeeze it right like that. Now I'm going to put the spring on, and I put the little blue mark towards the bottom. You can orientate it any way you'd like. Then you just slide this on here, making sure you get your boot thing on top of it. You don't want it underneath it. So then it should look kind of like that. It works nice, has good resistance. These are vented too, so any excess oil will kind of puke out of there a little bit. That's not a big deal. That's actually a good thing. So now what we're going to do is put this little plastic piece, and it just clips in here from the front, just like that. Okay, so now that we have all that in place, what we're going to do is go ahead and put the mount on the shock tower. Now all you do is take your screw that's provided. It's the only screw that looks like this at all in the bag, and you're going to thread it, you're going to shove it through this little washer, and then you're going to put it through the center hole. Now there's 5 holes, and it calls for you to put it through the center. Then you're going to take this piece and just screw it on. Okay, so now that that's threaded on, I'm going to just go ahead and tighten it down, which you can do this, you don't have to hold it. It does have a spot where you can hold it with a wrench or whatever, but you, from my experience, you don't need it. I didn't need it on any of them. So now the easy way to do this, I want the Sworkz to be aimed out, by the way, but you can orientate it however you want. It wants you to go to the outside hole on the A-arm. Sorry, my son's not happy right now. So now what you want to do is just slide this on, and you have to hold that plastic piece because it will try to pop out on you. I had a little bit of trouble with the first one I did. And then you just put your nut on. And then you take your little T-wrench and screw it on there. That simple, guys. I mean, I put the other 3 shocks together super quick. This one took me a little bit longer because I was sitting here explaining it to you guys. But yeah, the shocks went together beautifully. They feel really nice. And now all we got left, really, I've got the body done, but I do want to do a reveal video. I got to do a couple things. I'm going to get rid of this and put an XT90, just a single. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll hook up the servo once I get power to this so I can center the servo and everything. But all we got left right now is the wing. So we'll just go ahead and pop this open. This is going to be a nice short video for you guys. A lot better, I believe, than the almost 30-minute videos that I've been putting out for this build. And trust me, it has taken me a lot longer than the time you guys see to actually put this thing together. This has been a little bit of a headache between the wrong part being sent in this kit, still waiting for that, of course, and the mistakes in the actual manual. Alright, so that's the wing. We're going to put our nuts, slide them into the wing mount. I forgot I already put the nuts in there. Alright, so now that we got our nuts in there, we're going to go ahead and put our wing on. So you just pop it on, put these nuts, or put these screws rather, through these plastic washers, and then we're just going to screw it down in to our wing mount. You don't want to overdo it. You don't, like, they're lock nuts, so you don't want to overdo it. Plus, that plastic does not tend to hold those nuts very well. So if you try to over torque it, you'll end up stripping out that little slot that you slide those into, and then it'll be really hard to get the screws back out. So there we go. We got those in there. The wing is on. The wing mount feels awesome. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out the tires. I'm going to show you how to vent a tire, and then I'm going to throw the tires on here. But after that, that's going to be the end of this video, and then like I said, we will have the reveal video where I'll have the XT90 on here. I'll have the steering set up already. I'll have the body on, and I'm just going to show this thing off and talk about it. Alright, so I'm going to go get the tires and show you the method to vent them. Sweet! Proline shockwaves, and for some reason that's sealed twice, so we're just going to cut it open. Now these do seem to be directional tires, so make sure you orientate them accordingly. And yep, new tire smell. Okay, so these are basically going to be the two front tires, but I'll just show you. Okay, so what I have is a drill here, and I have a little piece of 1/8 inch aluminum tubing. It's basically what I use to make my rod links. Well, this was just a little piece, and all I did was kind of sharpen this side. So you just pick a spot on your tire, right like that. So we got our hole there, and then you go 180 degrees. So we're going to go right here and drill into right here. Alrighty, so those tires are now, well, this tire is now vented. So I'm going to throw all 4 tires on, and then we're going to close this out. Alright everybody, so this is close to a finished product. Still waiting on that front suspension arm mount, or lower A-arm mount, whatever you want to call it, bulkhead, bushing retainer, whatever. Still waiting on that, but this is pretty much done. And the cool thing is, now looking at this really, especially with the tires now, really reminds me of Rich Duberbash's Trugified Tython. And that thing is an absolute beast. And I'm hoping that this thing can live up to kind of like his Truckified Tython, because then, you know, this would basically be that for me. Plus I have my MT410. So it's going to be pretty cool. As you can see, I did put a nice big fan on the motor because I did gear this thing up. I do plan to run mostly 4S though. And like I said, I'm going to do a single XT90. But this is it for right now. I'm going to get the servo hooked up and everything. And then I'll have the reveal video where I talk about it, go over it. And should have this thing 100% together at that time. And you'll see the body and everything. I'm going to try to do some custom painting on the body. We'll see where that gets me. But thank you all for who have followed this build series. It has been frustrating for me. It did take quite a bit of time, a lot more time than I thought it was going to take. But yeah, go ahead and thumb up this video, thumb down if you didn't like it. Please stay tuned, subscribe if you're new here, and check out that description. There's a bunch of cool stuff. You can get rewards for becoming a Patreon. We got raffles going on. You can buy Killer Off-Road Hobbies merchandise. I did just make a new shirt and long sleeve shirt, so check that out, and we will see you on the next video. Until then, get out there, get an RC, go have some fun, and then come right back here to Killer Off-Road Hobbies to see what we got in store for you. Until then, we'll say peace.